On the Talkback Show, on the radio, or whatever audio-visual device you choose to use. Welcome to the GBC podcast, where we talk about the Packers and our hometown of Green Bay. We are the official podcast of the Lot 1 Tailgate Party, which is at Lambeau Field every home game. This is episode 137, created April 20th, 2026. I'm John. I'm in Appleton, Wisconsin. Along with me, Jeff in Minnesota and Neil on the East Coast. Say hello, gentlemen, and tell us what you're drinking.
Hello, gentlemen. Tonight I'm having my second pour because I spilled the first one of Woodford Reserve's Barrel Strength Kentucky Bourbon Rye Whiskey.
We're hoping for a superhero performance from Brian Gutekunst this weekend. But if we get a great draft, it's not going to be because of Goody. It's going to be because of all of the sidekicks. And so my beer is a KCBC superhero sidekicks because those sidekicks are going to be the ones who make the draft.
All right, Neil's hanging out at the Sidekick Lounge. And last year, when we were in Green Bay for the NFL draft, we were at a bar that introduced us to the tequila old-fashioned sour. So I am celebrating that with a tequila old-fashioned sour this evening. You can find us on YouTube and Twitter at Green Bay Chat and Facebook at the GBC Podcast, Green Bay Chat. And just the audio is available on Apple Podcast as well as Spotify by searching for Green Bay Chat. Well, what's our topic this episode? It truly just is the 2026 NFL Draft. We're going to take a look at this team, where they are, where we think that they're going, but not as much fanfare this year. First of all, the draft is in Pittsburgh, not Green Bay.
I had multiple opportunities to go to the draft. It's like,
I'm
not playing opening night. So, we're playing in the first round. So,
right. Yeah. And then on top of that, Thursday night, what are you going to do? I might go bowling. We're not going to watch the draft on Thursday night, are we, Jeff?
Why not? You never know what the Packers
Jeff doesn't have
do.
anything else better to do. Let's be fair.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Yeah. You never know what they'll do. Trade up into the first round.
No, that won't happen, Jeff.
That's one of those things that we have to take a look at, right? When we talk about trades in the NFL, there is a chart that's readily available. You can search for this chart. They give a value to every draft pick and how many points is it worth. And the last two picks, New England's pick is worth 600 points. Seattle's pick is worth 590 points. Just to get one of those two picks, Green Bay would have to trade away all of their Friday picks, the second, third, and fourth round pick. So you look at it that way. Are you that needy for a first round pick that you would give up all three Friday picks just to get to a Thursday night? I hope not either.
Do we have Mike Ditka in charge of our draft now? That's the part I'm missing.
The only reason the other guys that talk Packers, the only reason that they would want something like that to happen is so that they can complain about whatever the pick is in the first round, because it just seems that that's what they do best, is complain about the picks at certain levels.
But we're not going to complain about it because, well, we've got picks. We've got 8 picks in this draft, and let's enjoy those picks. 8 is a very good number. It's enough, as it turns out.
Right. So overall, like I said, no Thursday night picks, no first round picks. Friday night, second round pick, third round pick, fourth round pick. So that's picks number 52, 84, and 120. So there'll be 3 picks Friday night. Saturday, as of right now, 5 picks to hang out there. 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th. I think with any draft, it's about increasing your depth. And it's like fishing, right, Neil? You're pulling them in until you find the one that's the right size. Some of these guys might get thrown back, but one of these times you're going to catch something, especially maybe on Saturday. You're going to catch one. You're like, holy cow, how did we get this guy?
Yeah, of course, there's a component of risk that's associated with that. And do you go with somebody who's more established, or you go with somebody with sort of the high intangibles that played maybe at a smaller program? That's part of the fun of the draft, is that, it could be this guy that you've seen on national broadcast, or it could be this guy, who the fuck is this? But you're going to, of course, fall in love with the who the fuck is this guy or the established guy. No matter what it is, that's one of my favorite parts of the draft. Is I don't care about them until they're on our team. And then on our team, I love them. Great pick.
And trying to get Neil to prep for this is really difficult because he doesn't care about a player if he's not on the team right now. And so when we get to the point where we're going to make some picks here, Neil, we pinpointed one in particular for you, and I think that was pulling teeth as it was.
To be fair, the Packers do a great job of picking from their top 30 visits, and so I've got a couple guys in the top 30 visits that I like.
Okay, you actually did a little research this year, Neil. We are very proud of you.
Nice.
And yet, no matter what I say, I'm not going to care until they're on our team.
That's right. That's a good philosophy. Jeff, how did your research go into all of this?
What do the Packers need? They need some defensive guys. I found somebody, just the nickname. So I was kind of looking for things, unusual things or whatever.
All
I
right.
came up with Dominique Orange, a defensive tackle at Iowa State. He's a 320-pound interior defender, nicknamed Big Citrus.
Big Citrus. My goodness. Tell us about Big Citrus, Jeff.
Well, he's a large mammal. I can tell you that. Probably this is going to be a second, third round pick, perhaps in there. 6'2" and 3/8, 322 pounds. He is a very, very good run stopper. That would be a welcome addition in the middle, but apparently non-factor as a pass rusher. So he clogs the middle, leaves it up to other folks to get to the quarterback. But
my question for you is Big Citrus sort of, they say he's 322, but he's really 340, 350, sort of a Gilbert Brown type of player. Is that what we're looking for? Or?
I don't know. And to your point, Neil, I don't really care until he gets picked, but I like the nickname Big Citrus.
We've already got more analysis than we do on a typical draft podcast. I mean, we don't have Peter this year, unfortunately. And so usually we just sort of defer everything to him. And so now we actually did look at a few things, but whatever. Whoever we pick, we pick.
And just because his last name is Orange, that's how he got the nickname Big Citrus.
It's not a leap to fight. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not a big leap.
All right. Well, in defensive tackle, Neil, probably a good position of need because we're worried about Devontae Wyatt, right? We're worried about the potential change right now in Jonathan Gannon's system. That speculation, this team's going to go to a 3-4. So you need now someone that is a big body that's going to be a true nose tackle, right?
One of the things I like about the draft is it tells you about the directions that the team is going. And so are we going to go from a 4-3 to a 3-4, or are we going to do some sort of hybrid? And I think it seems likely that we're, just because of the way pass defense is so central to football, it's not going to be a simple 3-4 versus 4-3. We're going to see some sort of hybrid, and how they play the edge rushers, who would be a 4 of a 4-3 versus a 3, is going to be part of the fun. And the draft is going to tell us something about how they're going to play in the upcoming season, and bring it on, because we're way too long from football. And so we need anything we can hang our hat on as far as what the Packers are going to do this year.
And Jeff, you kind of narrowed it down by need as well in that defensive tackle. What else did you see as a need? We know we don't need a quarterback, right?
That is true.
Probably don't need a running back.
Although, to be fair, quarterback is something that people have looked at as far as backup of quarterback. I mean, Are the Packers going to go for a backup of quarterback? I personally think we've earned currency with what we did with Malik Willis, that Desmond Ridder or anyone else is a sort of failed young veteran is somebody that is going to be drawn to the Packers. And so to me, we don't need any Sean Cliffords or anybody like that. Develop who we have. Don't waste a draft pick on a young quarterback, because we're going to have young quarterbacks coming to us.
That's a great take, Neil. Now, the Packers, though, historically do usually pick a quarterback in the later rounds, a developmental quarterback, but maybe with only 8 picks this year and again, no first rounder, there's really no throwaway picks here that they're really going to look to plug the needs that they have. Another one we haven't talked about, the elephant in the room, if you will, cornerback.
That's clearly where all of the need is. And my picks are going to be geared entirely towards this one thing, because you look at the other positions. John mentioned running back, no real need there. Wide receiver. People think that the Packers are going to pick a wide receiver, but you got Golden, Watson, Savion Williams, Reed, Moore, who we just signed, and Melton. That's 6 wide receivers. Do we actually need a wide receiver? I don't see this as something that's a need. Offensive line. We've got all 5 of our starters set, and we've got 4 players who were backups on our team last year. Defensive line, even with that, KGB, Wyatt, Brinson, Stackhouse, Hargrave, as far as the interior is concerned, plus edge rushers such as obviously Parsons, Sorrell, Lucas Van Ness, Mosby, Oliver, and Cox. That sounds like a lot of positions that we basically got filled, and we're going to rely on previous players. At least that's what my guess is going to be, because there are some places in need. And to me, cornerback screens out more than anywhere else, because I don't trust anyone in the cornerback room. And we've got safeties, but man, do we have needs, especially after dropping Nate Hobbs.
I agree with you on cornerback, because that's where I'm kind of looking with this second round pick as well. But when you start looking at depth charts and things like that, and even with the trade of Dontavian Wicks, to say that there isn't a need at wide receiver is true, but I think that a wide receiver pick is back in play. I also think that because of the injury to Tucker Kraft, a tight end pick is in play as well. I also think that, Luke Musgrave isn't developing the way they expected him to. So, yeah, when you look at, you're at pick 52, are you leaning towards the best player available, or are you leaning towards a need position where obviously corner, I think we agree, cornerback might be on the top of that, Jeff on the defensive line there, right? But those Saturday picks, a quarterback to develop, a receiver to just add to the room, a tight end if he has that ability to both block and catch, even a linebacker. There's speculation that Green Bay is looking at linebackers because of this 3-4 change as well.
I think cornerback is going to be the pick with number 52, unless for some reason they would trade up slightly. So who do you like at cornerback position?
Then one name that I picked, and my total amount of research was back in January. I looked at a list of cornerbacks that were going to be available, and whatever speculation there was on who was the best, who was second round, what kind of grades they had. I literally just picked a name out of the hat back in January, and I've been sticking with it. And it is Keith Abney, or Keith Abney II, as he goes by, out of Arizona State. He played 3 years at Arizona State. He's a little on the smaller side. Calling him 5'10" is generous. 5'10", 187 pounds, but he runs a 4.48 40. And this is a kind of a need position at cornerback. You get a guy who's got some speed to him. He's not the best of the cornerbacks out there, but he could be the best available in that second round. And like I said, it's just a name that I grabbed. And my other speculation with that is, since we had jersey number 1 and jersey number 0 added this past season, Keith Abney is going to be given jersey number 5 and will play cornerback for the Green Bay Packers.
He's got to go to jerseys right away. The obvious choice for somebody at cornerback is Julian Neal from Arkansas and previously from Fresno State. First of all, what could be better than a Packers player with Neal on the back of his jersey? Nothing. Mike
Neal spelled
kind of
correctly, no less.
Absolutely. And in contrast, John, 6'2", 200, known for being physical, known for pass breakups, somebody who's likely going to be available when we have our second round pick. This sounds like a perfect player, somebody who has been a starter for 4 years and somebody who can make a difference. And more importantly, add some physicality to that cornerback room. Somebody who's certainly going to immediately challenge Carrington Valentine, also can challenge Keyshawn Nixon. The other name that I really like is Dalen Everett from Georgia. Again, 6'1", 200 pounds, somebody who is going to be able to have a physical, imposing presence at cornerback, somebody who's going to be able to take on a Justin Jefferson, take on an Amon-Ra St. Brown, somebody who is going to say, no, fuck this, I am stopping you. You're not going to get the ball. That's what I want to see in my cornerbacks.
Well, and it's been a few years since we've seen a Green Bay cornerback defend like that. Unfortunately, that should be a catalyst if we can get one of these players for the rest of the defense as well. Big pass breakup, get an interception, something to get the defense charged and fired up, because the cornerbacks last year were just not good. So do you see more than one cornerback being taken in this draft?
Jeff? My picks for the Packers on day 2 are cornerback, cornerback, cornerback. Wow. Go straight D-backs in the second, third, and fourth rounds, because that's where our true needs are. These other positions, we have clear starters, we have clear potential backups. I could get rid of Keyshawn Nixon. I could get rid of Carrington Valentine. We need players that are going to play there. That's a premium position. And the Packers did bring in a lot of D-backs for their top 30 visits. There have been 28 top 30 visits announced as of today. 7 of those were D-backs. 2 more that fit within that potential second or third round pick area. Will Lee from Texas A&M, 6'1", 3-year starter at A&M, and also AJ Hawley from LSU, ranked 57th, a 4-year starter in various places. It's clear that the Packers are looking at the beginning of the draft. They're looking at that at the end of the draft. I think there is a component of, if the guys we like fall, we're going to choose those guys. But there are also a number of players that are sort of end of the draft, undrafted free agents that they brought in. But a quarter of the players that are announced have been D-backs as far as our top 30 visits. That says that the Packers know what they need to do.
Neil giving us shades of the 1999 draft when the Packers took Antoine Edwards, Fred Vinson, and Mike McKenzie with the first 3 picks at 25, 47, and 87 overall. But Neil, you're taking them all day Friday. You want cornerbacks being picked.
Absolutely. That is where our need is. And that is a place where the players are going to make a difference. And I think it goes back to when we picked Bullard and Evans, though, that you're not entirely sure who is going to rise to the top. You choose players that have that ability to rise to the top, and you hope that one or two of them absolutely grab the opportunity and take advantage of it and become starters for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, and Gutekunst has kind of a history of this as well. Look at when he drafted Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, kind of doing the shotgun approach. Like, okay, this is a huge position of need. Let's just draft a bunch of guys and see what happens.
Right. You've got to solve the problem. And the draft is too much of a crapshoot. You can't assume that any one player is going to solve the problem. You make sure you have enough players such that one of them solves the problem.
And there is still a big picture thing, right? We talk about depth and we talk about names that I think people fall in love with as well. And on the offensive line, there are two guys in particular that Packer fans, and actually one of these guys, I think a lot of football fans are falling in love with. It's Jennings Dunker from Iowa, right? He's a big lineman, Jeff, from Iowa. 6'5", 319 pounds, but the big kid with the red hair and the mullet and
flow, the flow.
With a name like Dunker, he's got a potential quick trip tie-in for sponsorships down the road. And this is a guy that Packer fans want to drink a beer with, just like Tucker Kraft, right? Remember, Jeff, you talk about it, the Tucker Kraft impression on that draft day.
Yeah, sitting in a Quonset hut drinking beer when he's drafted. And Jennings Dunker, he's a good pass blocker, oh, by the way, and he's pretty versatile, it sounds like, as well. But he's got that hair. He's Tucker Kraft 2.0, basically. I mean, he's a little nuts in his interviews, and he's a free spirit. But
definitely a dynamic personality. And you can see why football fans just absolutely love this guy. And I think even on draft boards and mock draft boards, he's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, he could be a day 2. He could be a day 3. Who knows? But as a versatile offensive lineman,
that fits what the Packers always are looking for through the Packers because, our starters are set for the offensive line. The backups, there are names that are there that are perfectly acceptable, but you got somebody who can play different positions. There will be injuries. Somebody who's going to be able to step in case of an injury and be able to be a spot starter in their first year in the NFL. Those are players that you'd absolutely love to have.
And versatility on the offensive line, we know the Packers value that. Personally, I would like to see someone who is a true center come to this team and play center and let the other 4 positions have that versatility. There is a player out of Kentucky, and his name is Jaeger Burton. Jaeger is 6'4", 312 pounds, and he is actually projected to be a Saturday pick. This is a kid who, 4 years at Kentucky, he's moved back and forth between left guard and center. And one of the big things about Jaeger Burt is he came with really high stock going into college. So in high school, he won the Mr. Kentucky Football Award. He was named the Kentucky Gatorade Football Player of the Year. And he also won something called the Paul Hornung Award. You guys perhaps have heard of Paul Hornung. Hornung, who's from Louisville. So the Paul Hornung Award goes to a football player who is regarded as the top football player in the state of Kentucky. Some guys that have won that: Travis Hunter, the only 2-time winner; Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Odell Beckham Jr. These guys all have won the Paul Hornung Award, and Jaeger Burton is another one of those guys that has been named in that award as well.
That's impressive, John.
And it's a guy that, surprisingly, he's a third-day projected pick. Everybody needs a center. Easily, right now, is one of the most important positions on the field. If you don't have someone who knows how to handle the ball to get it to the quarterback, it really all starts up there.
I'm going to go back to something the Packers did 2 years ago, which was drafting players at positions that are undervalued. And picking a center seems exactly within that mantra of let's pick somebody who is undervalued. They're going to fall lower than they should based on their talent level, and let's let them play. And Cooper was certainly one of those players. And wow, we get some more players like that. If we keep that same mindset of drafting players at undervalued positions, you're going to build some stars on this team.
And not only are we looking to the draft to build the team, but there's also free agency. And again, Neil, you said it earlier, the draft kind of tells you where the team is going, But I think some of these free agency moves might give you an idea of what's going on as well. So they re-signed their own in Aaron Mosby. We picked up Javon Hargrave on the defensive line, taking him out of Minnesota. Sky Moore, a guy who could potentially be a punt returner for this team.
A guy who's actually a punt returner. Let's go so far as that. An actual return guy. Somebody who's focused on special teams. Wow.
And we spent a lot of time talking about cornerbacks, and we kind of forgot to play in here that we took from the Chargers Benjamin St-Juste at the cornerback position. Now, is a name that rolls off the tongue. Is he, one of those everyday names? No, but he's a guy that I think Green Bay sees a lot of potential in there as well. And then the other one that's interesting is the trading away Neil Colby-Wooden from the defensive line and getting a linebacker in Zaire Franklin. And fans of both teams were declaring that trade a win for their team, which was pretty interesting.
I like the Zaire Franklin trade just because what it said is the Packers recognize, okay, we've had these young rosters for a long time, but we need some damn veteran leadership. We need somebody who's willing to step up and take command. And obviously Parsons does that on the defense, but I like having more large personalities, people who have had accomplishments, people who want to reach that next level. Having players who are older and more desperate, have some level of accomplishment as an individual, but want that accomplishment as a team. I love that kind of player on our team.
Agreed. Not only the enthusiasm, but the experience. So as you get into the playoffs, been there, done that. What can they offer the younger guys and move the whole team forward?
Yeah, and definitely the Nate Hobbs experiment ended, right? He kind of unceremoniously is released. You pick up St-Juste. Also being released, Elton Jenkins just flat out let go, goes and signs in Cleveland. Rashawn Gary, they were able to get a trade out of to Dallas, getting a 4th-round pick there. Sean Ryan, though, getting extended, solidifying that offensive line. Just some other names that to see the team kind of make the moves that they do, there's always something going on over there, right? Gutekunst isn't just sitting on his hands.
No, and there wasn't a whole lot of action in free agency, but you know what? That's okay.
I thought the Sean Ryan re-signing was one that was most interesting because that was certainly one that was unexpected. And what it says is that Brian Gutekunst and his team see that Sean Ryan was in his first year as a center, and he's somebody absolutely that can continue developing. You're not signing Sean Ryan at $10 million a year to be a backup to Anthony Belton or Aaron Banks. You're signing him to be a starter. They clearly see him as a long-term starter with that payment. And it means that even though he had growing pains, even though he was learning how to snap, even though there were missed plays as a snapper, miscommunication, they knew his potential. They knew he was there. And yes, let's keep those guys on the line. Having 5 returning starting linemen is a huge component for this team next year.
Couple other moves to nobody's surprise. Malik Willis signs in Miami, which begs the question, can Green Bay do for Desmond Ridder what they did for Malik Willis? It'll be interesting to see the quarterback development there. Quay Walker going to Las Vegas. Romeo Doubs to New England. Kingsley Enagbari to the Jets. Zane Anderson also going to Miami. Emmanuel Wilson. This is another one of those spots where we talked about the running back room, and maybe we don't have a need for a running back. But Emmanuel Wilson is a guy who kind of filled in there where we really liked him. And now he's going to go and join the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks.
But the nice thing about all of these players leaving, they did not go to our division. They went elsewhere, obviously. Miami, not a surprise that a lot of players went to Miami. So we're probably not going to see them. They're out. Is the grass going to be greener? Who knows? But we don't have to play them.
I don't even care about that. I care what it says about the confidence that our management has in some of those other players, right? It suggests that a Tyron Hopper or Marshawn Lloyd, who haven't done so much so far, are players that actually could make a big leap. And you don't let somebody go at a relatively low salary, somebody who's useful, unless you think that you've got a straightforward route to replacement. And I don't think it's because those players that we let go were considered to be bad players. It was that we think that they're players that can do the job right now.
Neil, going back to that offensive line, a guy that came into Green Bay in 2022, he was a 7th-round draft pick, taken 249 overall. Rasheed Walker, a guy who worked his way into that left tackle position and has been solid for a few seasons in that role in Green Bay. And they did not look to retain him in free agency. He goes to Carolina. this is a guy who just was pretty solid in that role and is one of those things where, again, not a household name. And it's like you can find good linemen later in the draft and they just find a way to work themselves into the lineup.
And that also says something about the confidence of the team in Jordan Morgan, right? There wasn't we need competition at left tackle. It's that, yes, he had some ups and downs in his second year, but he is somebody who we are ready to have take control at the most important position on the offensive line.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, though, were really dismayed with Jordan Morgan at the end of the season. And I think that letting Rashid go like that was probably a surprise to people. But again, there's a reason we're not working in the front office, right? There are things that we don't see. Sometimes it's just a numbers game, right? There's a lot of money tied up in Micah Parsons. And when we talk about this draft and we don't get to have a pick on Thursday night, is there a guy Thursday night that anybody is going to pick that is better than Micah Parsons?
No, I will say this straight out.
And it's certainly not at the 20th pick. I think all eyes will be on Dallas, at least all Packer fan eyes will be on Dallas to see what they do with that 20th overall pick.
Or if they combine their picks to move up even further to essentially use 2 first-round picks to get somebody who maybe is going to be a stud edge rusher. Well, I don't know. Maybe keep the stud edge rusher that you already have instead of getting 2 picks for him. But I'm glad that we are not Dallas Cowboys podcasters because that's an unjustifiable decision. I'm so happy we have Micah Parsons, even if we don't get him until October or even November.
Jerry Jones says that they're set at the edge, though, Neil. Come on. Yeah. We've got to support ownership here for Dallas.
I support Packers ownership. I really like the Packers ownership.
Neil is dabbling at getting into the mind of Jerry Jones. Jeff, we need to throw him a life preserver and pull him back.
Oh, my God.
He is in the deep end.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
And finally, as we wrap this up, we didn't spend too much time talking about the draft in Green Bay last year. We had a great time in Green Bay. We're very thankful for the people we got to visit with. And it was a very interesting experience in Green Bay. And it turned out, yes, Neil, it turned out a lot better than I ever thought it would. So I get to eat that one. But now we were in Pittsburgh this year as well. And they're putting the NFL draft in Pittsburgh this year. And there's a lot of bridges in Pittsburgh. So this will be interesting to see. I think there's going to be a lot of foot traffic because we found Pittsburgh to be a nicely walkable city. So we look forward to seeing the pictures from what it looks like in Pittsburgh compared to what it was like in Green Bay. And to the friends we made in Pittsburgh while we were there, we hope you soak it all in and have a good time. This idea of moving the draft around from city to city, that one is one of the better ones that has come out of the league. And boy, we'll be riding that one all the way to the end that we had the draft in Green Bay back in 2025.
Green Bay was a great place for a draft. Got to see Hall of Fame players, got to see friends, attend the draft, first round wide receiver pick. Good luck to Pittsburgh. Hopefully the weather's good like it was in Green Bay last year. I'm sure they'll do great. Lynn Swann, the ambassador for Pittsburgh and the draft. But the Packers, the draft, the 2026 draft, we've got 8 picks currently, nothing on day one. You know what? That's okay. It's going to be a great draft. They're going to draft great players. As we've said before, who are these guys? Or, well, thank God they picked this guy. Looking forward to looking back in a few years to this draft. What happens? Are they going to get big citrus? Who the hell knows? Who cares? You know, if they get them, great. If they don't, fine. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks, but I'm just excited. Football is coming back. The NFL marketing machine is in motion. Go Pack, go.
The Packers only have second, third, and fourth round picks as their top picks. And there was a period not so long ago when those were really bad picks for the team. I'll bring you to the Quentin Rollins and the Ty Montgomery and the Kyler Fackrell and the Jason Spriggs, Josh Jones, Josh Jackson, Oren Burks, Montravius Adams, Jay Sternberger, Josiah DeGuara, Amari Rogers, even somebody like A.J. Dillon, who certainly had the personality but didn't have the accomplishments in Green Bay. We had a lot of very weak drafts in the second, third, and fourth round from 2014 through 2021. There's a reason why we haven't won a Super Bowl in that time period, because really Devontae Adams and Elgton Jenkins are the only really good players that have come out of those rounds. In contrast, in the last 4 years, 2022, second, third, and fourth, Watson, Ryan, Dobbs, and Tom. 23, Musgrave, Reed, Kraft, and Wooden. 24, Cooper, Bullard, Lloyd, Hopper, Evan Williams. 25, Belton, Saving Williams, Barron Sorrell. We've done really well with our second, third, and fourth rounds in the last 4 years. I'm looking forward to that continuing. I'm looking forward to this being a draft that builds this team to be a Super Bowl champion. Go Pack, go.
And Jeff, once we figure out who these guys are that the Packers pick, we'll come back and we'll do a follow-up. We'll do a post-draft review of the Green Bay Packers. And Neil, for your brother, quick look at the weather forecast. Thursday in Pittsburgh, sunny and a high of 74 degrees. That's a perfect day for the NFL draft. So fans in Pittsburgh, you guys enjoy it. You're looking at rain on Friday and Saturday. So I hope Thursday is a great day for the city of Pittsburgh and for football fans with the NFL draft. As for us, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit subscribe and leave a comment. Find the GBC podcast at Green Bay Chat. That is all one word, Green Bay Chat. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Blue Sky, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. On Facebook, it's the GBC Podcast Green Bay Chat. And you can follow us on any and all of those social media platforms. May you fully appreciate the magnitude of your impending good fortune. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
Right.